Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Now on 88.5 FM, The Valley Comes Alive. And podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.
Welcome to another episode of the Talk and Power podcast, episode 88, and I'm joined by co-host Simon Gonzo Travellini, and I'm Nick DeChembri. Simon, how are you?
Good, mate. Can you say two fat ladies 88? Is that politically correct?
I don't see why not. I can't.
Did I still say it at the bingo?
I haven't been to the bingo. I am only
because
45.
if you were gonna, oh mate, I've been to the bingo. You go on a cruise ship, you got no choice. And I tell you what, nothing pisses people off on a cruise ship more than if you just go to the grand final bingo at the end of the cruise. Because they got the big prizes at the last one. Everyone goes and you see them all. Oh, why are you here? You haven't been at the last five. But if you were going to offend anyone saying two fat ladies 88, it'd be at the bingo, I'd imagine.
Yeah. No, most certainly. Hey, just before we get too far into this podcast, I want to just reiterate our prize pool that's happening. Subscribe to the Talk and Power podcast at our website. You can subscribe there. You're going to the chance to win short tumbler. We keep adding each week to the prize pool.
You got any Holden ones there, Nick?
No, I don't. We'll get some Holden paraphernalia. We got the Selector flashlight as well. And
courtesy of
Sylvan Australia.
Sylvan Australia.
The Talk and Power shirt, genuine Talk and Power
I need a new shirt. How do I enter?
You already entered. And also, we got a super cheap auto voucher as well. So each week we're adding to that prize pool. In a few weeks' time, we'll draw it. If you've already subscribed, if you get a newsletter from us or an email from us, you're already in the running to win it. So thank you to all those that have, and we've had quite a few subscriptions as well. So we really appreciate that. And we'll keep adding to that as well.
Nick, that sign in the background there, the Ford News Mustang wins title, is that the controversial one?
That is. Yes, that is. Yep.
That's the one. That is it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So
I didn't realise that was it this whole time. Are you going to get sued by Supercars for having that there?
No, the money all went to charity. So the money, they sold, I think, 10,000 of those, and the money all went to charity. So it was a bit of a, slap in the face for, no, it wasn't a slap. I shouldn't use that terminology, slap in the face.
Is there an E version of that you can download, Nick, to go with the E series?
Oh, I guess there would be, actually. That's a good point.
Did the money go to charity for that one as well?
I don't know, but money certainly went to charity for that one there. So I think they're all sold out. If they're not, perhaps we look at adding that to the prize pool as well.
Maybe.
Add that to the prize pool. I think that would be pretty cool, actually.
If you're a Ford fan, it probably wouldn't be, say, if you worked for, I don't know, 888 or something.
So speaking of Holden, we're actually test drove the new Arcadia, so the video of that will be coming out very soon. So we've been testing that, and that video of that will be out very, very soon. I'm looking forward to getting that out there as well. Quite a nice car, actually.
Surprisingly quick car.
Yeah, it was
surprisingly quick.
Yep. I've got to bring it around. Actually,
I doubted the S in the SUV part, but certainly lives up to the SUV.
It does.
Moniker.
Hey, we got no Todd tonight. Unfortunately, Todd is away, so he's not able to join us. So I was hoping to get an update also from Barbagallo Raceway. They had their first round of the WA Sporting Car Club had a test and tune day yesterday. So I look, from all accounts, I've followed that on Facebook, but I don't have the inside word. Unfortunately, Todd can't make it tonight. So it's great to see that those are going well.
Do you think you scared him off with the 3 from TNP? Does he even know what a pushrod engine is?
Sorry, Todd. I did have a bit of a lend at Todd. Later on in 3 from TNP, we're doing the best Pushrod V8s of all time. And I wrote in there, Todd, will you need help with this? Because we all know Todd's a bit of a JDM fan and probably doesn't even know what a Pushrod V8 is. That was probably a bit cheeky on my behalf.
I've got to be honest with you, Nick. In all seriousness, it probably would have been easier to put the worst ones than the best ones, because There's not really any bad ones.
I know. So look, anyway, we're having a bit of fun there. Hey, significant changes in the V8 Supercar Calendar, and look, as we alluded to at the last episode, the season will now be ending in 2020. Won't be running into 2021. Sponsorship deals and driver contracts made that all a little bit too difficult for the teams, so it's been reined back to this year. Barbagallo is still in there at this stage. That's October 31 to November 1. Now, I did a few calculations here. So the trucks would have to leave Bathurst pretty much that day, the Sunday. And, well, you would know better than me. Would the trucks would be able to get here by Thursday and serve their 2-week quarantine?
You can do it if you go 2 up. You can easily do it in 2 days.
Yep. What about a wrecked car? Well, you can drag the car into the trailer wrecked, but there's not adequate time to get from Bathurst back to your headquarters. Most of them are in Melbourne.
You would like to think that the size and the quality of the teams nowadays, that they would have a spare car or at least a spare chassis.
Yep.
I would imagine that they would have all their control arms ready to go, as well as motors, transmissions. I know for a fact that they have to have 2 transmissions per car. So I don't know. I mean, the bodies are clip-on now.
Yeah.
All the panels are clip-on. So it's really just that structure with the cage. And you'd like to think that, all the teams had spare chassis, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's a 3-week gap.
It would suck for the next round.
Yeah.
It would suck for the next round, because if you had a totaled car, then totaled your spare at Barbagallo's,
yeah,
I don't think you'd be racing at the next one. And I do believe that they have penalties if they don't show up at the track.
Yep. Yeah, they do.
Financial and points.
But my question is more so that they finish on the Sunday at Bathurst, and then they're heading to 3-week gap. So they've got to serve, assuming that the quarantine period's still in place in October. I don't know. It's hard to say in WA if it's still going to be in place. I'm guessing that it will be. The border will still be shut. But it's going to be a hustle to get them from Mount Panorama to Perth and serve a 2-week quarantine, and assuming that the car got through Bathurst unscathed. So interesting. We should probably try and pose that question to one of the teams and reach out.
I'll tell you what, I think it's a good effort for them to try and get 11 rounds in.
Yep.
If they pull that off, it's going to be incredibly exciting for the teams and everyone, because you can, imagine the pressure you'd be under to perform with that tight a schedule.
Yeah.
And the possibility of quarantine.
I
think what's really going to have an effect is what's happened, over the last 24 hours. The fact that there's been new cases in Queensland and in Victoria, and the cases in Victoria are. It seems like there was no, people coming from outside of that area. So, that's a real concern, because the last thing any of us want is the second wave.
Yeah.
We have spoken very highly about the way Mark McGowan and his government have handled this in Western Australia. And I think that this really sort of nails, drives the nail home, so to speak, because everyone was in such a rush to lift these restrictions. And now, look at what's happening in the rest of the country.
Anyway.
All right. Well,
we should take a short break
bombshell
here. Yep. We'll be back right after this. All right. It'll only be 2 from TNP. I'm Nick DeTumbury, and I'm here with co-host Simon Gonzo Travellini. Welcome back, episode 88 of the Talk and Power podcast, and we're going to be doing 2 from TNP.
3 from TNP.
Now, Nick, I've got to tell you, this is a tricky one, right? Because there have been so many incredible Pushrod V8 engines that have been built over the years. Just absolutely unbelievable. It is really hard to just pick one. So I'm going to let you take the lead on this one.
Well, I went with the 429 Super Cobra Jet. I thought you might have picked that one, actually. I thought I don't have a backup if you did. But anyway, I'm going to go with the 429 Super Cobra Jet. So that was a 4-bolt mains. Now, they had the semi-hemispherical type combustion head as well. 735 Holly 4-barrel carb, and made 375 horsepower. So that was the engine that they developed, Ford, to get them to homologate them into NASCAR racing, to run up against the Chrysler or the Hemi of the time. So that's my pick. I just think, being a Ford man, I couldn't look past that one, to be honest.
The Ford Hemi, the Boss 429, didn't sort of.
No, it was. I kind of, not that I left that one for you, but I thought he might pick that one instead. So that's why I went with this one here, because we don't consult each other before we pick these ones.
No, we never do. I just thought that that motor is kind of known as the Lemur engine. The engine's Windsor, Cleveland, Lemur, and so on. Are named after the factories that they were built in. And yeah, that's commonly known as the Lemur engine. It's the second generation of the Ford Big Block. The FE was the prior generation that found itself in the Ford Cobra, the Shelby Cobra, and the Mustang. The Bullet Mustang in particular is one of the most famous FE powered cars. That was a 390 GT Mustang. So in this particular design, that the Boss I consider to be the epitome of that particular engine, was banned from NASCAR. It was primarily designed to take on the Chrysler Hemi, that never actually got to compete. Look, you know what, Nick? A lot of people are going to be surprised with me saying this, but I'm going to have to go with the Small Block Chev.
Yeah. Yep.
I would have to say that it would have to be 100% in terms of race wins. I am sure that no other Pushrod V8 engine has come even remotely close to, particularly in factory type componentry. So they were running in Trans Am as the 302 Chevrolet. They ran them in the early days of like predating the NASCAR style racing, the 283 and even before that in the 57, 55 Chevys and so on. They had an early mechanically fuel injected version that came out in the Corvettes and some of the Pikes Peak 57s and so on. It's got an incredible history, and it was manufactured from 55 right through to 92, I think. 90 in maybe even later than that. It was in production for a long time, and they used it in everything from aeroplanes doing pylon racing, boats, ski boats, NASCAR. I mean, how many years did the Small Block Chev dominate NASCAR?
Yeah.
Then you've got all the super stock and competition eliminator. In drag racing, it was the common engine. I'm sure there'll be a time when the LS will overtake it because of its popularity and simply because we've got a much larger population now than we did in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. But, you look at the LS itself, we got it in the VT Series 2. And fast forward to now, and the motor's already out of production. Yeah. So, the Small Block Chev has already destroyed the LS in terms of how long it was in production for. And I'm talking from the factory here. I'm not talking about aftermarket because, then I mean, the obvious choice would be, the aftermarket 426 Hemi. Prolific. The 426 was a prolific engine for its time on the drag strip, particularly in, nitro burning configuration, supercharged nitro burning configuration. But the engine that we began using was a completely aftermarket engine, loosely based on it, but completely aftermarket. And that started from the Donovan 392, which was based on the earlier, the 392 Hemi, and then went on to the Keith Black 426 derived engine, which the current, version that you would see in an alcohol funny car is a 521 cubic inch billet everything. And in the top fuel cars, there are 500 cubic inch billet everything. It's gotten to the point now, I don't know if you're aware of this, Nick, but it's gotten to the point now in top fuel that the major teams like Schumacher, Force, and so on, they manufacture their own engines.
Yeah.
They don't even have an out, like Alan Johnson or someone like that they buy cylinder heads and blocks for. They actually manufacture the whole lot themselves.
Yeah. No, I was aware of that. Yeah. So what would be, I mean, in terms of the LS, what's its? How do you see its future in particular Australia? Given it's difficult to get. Well, it's not so difficult at the moment, but it's not going to be easier to get one in the future.
Nick, I got told last week, $150 freight to get an engine from the US.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd say that's sea freight, but when you look at it that way, if you want a junkyard LS or whatever, but the reality is anyone that's building a serious motor now is building it completely new from aftermarket components. So you couldn't do that 30, 40 years ago.
No.
Now, if you were living in America in the 60s and you had a bit of a name for yourself, you could approach the factory and you could buy, a bunch of motors that you would then proceed to blow up one by one and throw in a scrap heap. I guess you can't afford to do that nowadays, but unless you got a big sponsor.
Yeah.
But yeah, you basically would build one completely aftermarket components. And I think that it is going to, simply because the problem with the small block Chev in standard form or in standard configuration is that when you look at the exhaust, which makes it a pretty looking motor, has one exhaust at the front, one at the back, and two in the center next to each other, which means that the two exhaust valves are right next to each other, which means that you have a really high concentration of heat in that area, and they have a tendency of cracking through that area. The Buick head was the first of this, easily commercially available symmetrical port heads, and then later on you had a million different versions, the Alan Johnson being the most prolific in terms of performance, where they basically copied the Ford Cleveland cylinder head. The Buick was kind of more like a 308 VN onwards head or a Buick V6 head. Dart saw the potential there. Dave Maskins, I think it is, from Dart, or Dick Maskins. Anyway, he saw the potential. He decided to take that design and make it fit on the small block Chev. And the LS has got that configuration standard, which means that in a boosted application, which is what you see most of these LSs in, supercharged or turbocharged, you don't need to worry about that heat being localized because they have evenly spaced exhaust ports and evenly spaced exhaust valves. So I think that the LS will definitely take over in as an aftermarket engine. But what people need to realize is that if you spend the big money to buy the expensive parts, they're more like the old Gen 1 small block. The Dart LS Next block looks more like a small block than it does a LS block. And when you go to what they refer to as the 6-bolt head, well, that is, more like the bolt configuration on an early small block than it is an LS. An LS is a 4-bolt. So an LS is actually like in architecture. And I think you may have been at my workshop when I showed a group of people this, that you could physically bolt an LS head onto a Windsor block. The bore spacing is the same. The bolt pattern's the same. the water jackets pretty much line up. It's really just a matter of getting the push rods to line up. So it is essentially a Windsor in many ways. They did a lot of smart things with it. They made they moved the cam up compared to the old small block, so it takes a longer stroke crank without the con rods getting close.
Oh, yeah.
It also means that you run a very short push rod, which gives you valve train stability. Also takes weight out of the valve train, which is why with a hydraulic roller camshaft, the LSs will turn to 7,000, whereas most early style Pushrod V8s will only turn to 6.5 with a hydraulic roller.
Mm.
And I think the availability of the parts and the fact that the engine was designed around an EFI platform, it lends itself to being an engine that's we're going to see more of.
Mm.
I think at the end of the day, the guys that want to go fast are going to, be running Hemis because nothing's really changed in that area. That engine's designed to be, make power, So I think, in the classes that allow those big motors, in the early days, the small block used to compete against the Hemis. The Santos Dragster was one of the most notable, which later on became the all-fast dragster in Australia. And that car won a championship, at least one championship, competing against the Hemis until the NHRA changed the weight break rules. So, horsepower per cubic inch, I think the small block definitely, but see, what people have got to realize is that we live in an era now where it is easier to make something out of billet than it is to cast something.
Mm.
So when I started in this industry, if you wanted to make a new cylinder head, you would make a pattern. So you would make basically a cylinder head out of a piece of wood with lots of bog and epoxy and so on. And then they would make a mold off that, the pattern, and then they would pour a casting, and then you go through the machining process.
Mm.
Nowadays, you just draw it.
Yep.
Draw the cylinder head. So draw one intake and exhaust port, propagate the drawing so that you've got the complete head, and stick a chunk of aluminium in a machine, and it'll carve it out. So we are in a really, really incredible era for not just the performance industry, but for everything. I mean, one of my customers works for Fast Brick, and essentially you will one day bring a machine to your house pad and load cement and bricks in it, and it will build you a house.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what this future holds for people. I mean, it is a big question. It's a serious question.
Mm.
I mean, what are the rest of us going to do?
I know. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure how we got from Pushrod V8s to
robot to build houses.
Well, to decline in the availability of jobs. But I guess the moral of this story is we need to bring back the Small Block Chev carburetors, 4-speed H-pattern transmissions.
Do you know what I saw the other day out in the bush? I won't say where actually, but Cleveland 351 4-bolt mains block.
What, in the bush?
No, it was actually in a shed, preserved quite well in the shed. I asked the gentleman if he wanted to sell it. He said no chance. So anyway, never mind.
There must be, right? There must be stuff like that scattered all over the world. Like, I know how much of that kind of stuff I've got at my workshop.
Yeah.
And every day when I go to work, I look at the piles of which, I don't want any of our listeners to take offense to this, right? But reality is reality. The piles of junk that I have at my workshop. And I think, one day, whether it be my kids, my wife, or whoever, is just going to throw this stuff into scrap bins, which 20 years ago, you would have killed someone.
I know.
Get your hands on it.
I know. I think only, Peter, obviously, he was aware of its value, but he wasn't. He's not keen in selling it. He'll never do anything with it too. That's the sad thing about it. But anyway, that's all.
Yeah, but what is its value? What do you think it's worth?
I don't know. I just thought he might want to, quick.
Was it on standard bore?
I didn't ask him that, to be honest. Didn't get
so
that
so
far.
here's the things that you need to consider with an engine block is what bore is it on, right? With a Cleveland, is it a pillow block? Okay. If it's a pillow block, is it the thick pan rail NASCAR block? Now, if it's a thick pan rail NASCAR block, right, it is the best possible factory Cleveland block that you can get. 4-bolt main, thick pan rail, etc., etc. It's still junk. So it still has thin wall cylinders. So you go to something like an Arrow, for example, and we're probably going to get hate mail over this, but you go to something like an Arrow, you can bore it to 4/125. The maximum you'll ever bore a Cleveland block to is 4" and 40. And I'll tell you what, it's got to be a really good, really, really good, thick NASCAR block, because even at 4" and 40, if that block, think about how old it is, right?
Yeah.
There is a good chance that you're going to have pinholes in it. So, the next thing is when you look at what you can buy an Arrow block for and what it would cost to, re-energize or reinvigorate that if you had to put sleeves or whatever in it, you'd buy the Arrow block.
Yeah.
So the reality is that block 20 years ago, you would have got, anywhere from 1,500 to, if it was a standard bore, you might get someone that'd pay as much as $5,000 for it. Some, crazy dude that was doing up a Di Tommaso Pantera or something like that. You know what I mean? But, realistically now, it's really not worth anything.
Yeah.
It's like weigh it and see what Sims will give us for you. But, it's sad, but it's true.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing you. No, I'm hearing you. It's just I've got the Cleveland 2V closed chamber heads here at home.
Once again,
Junk.
there's this is the thing, right? So by the time you machine it and put seats in it, if you're going to get serious about running it on pump gas without having, an oiler or something like that, put guides in it, okay? Machine it for roller rockers because you've got to knock the tops off the pedestals, and because the Clevelands are a canted splayed valve, deal, it's tricky to machine them. You have to, it is just a mission to machine them. Same with the valves and everything else. You got to do the spring pockets, right? You drill and tap them, machine all the surfaces, then put good quality valves in them, collets, retainers, valve springs, right? By the time you do all of that, it's going to be cheaper to buy a brand new set of aluminium heads.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's really the old stuff really has no value unless it's a collector or a fanatic or someone that is restoring a car and he needs casting number D7 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that case. And I don't know how many of those people are here, because what you need to understand, what everyone in Australia really needs to understand is whatever the rarity of the car is, whether it be a GTHO, a Cobra, or an A9X Tirana, we have 10 times less the population of America, which means there's going to be 10 times less people that want to buy that car. So I guess they built more of some in America, but there's still, cars that there was only like 6 made or 2 or 1 or that particular spec of a Hemi Cuda convertible. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting thing to consider whether we're ever going to see these cars go into the millions and millions of dollars like they have in America.
Yeah. So in other words, get rid of that crap that I've got at home.
The 2V closed chambers are interesting. I'm sure we'll be able to do something with those.
Okay. Oh,
Put them
well,
on a
if you know
Windsor block or something.
if you know someone that wants them, let me know. Let me know. And there's a C4 there as well that I probably don't have any use for either. So we can just get rid of the whole lot.
Poor XW's never going to see any love, is it?
No, just keep the 221 in there. When I saw that block there, I thought, oh yeah, if
Oh,
Peter,
he got excited.
I did. I got a bit of rouse, but he wasn't keen. He wasn't having any part of it. So never mind. I will take a short break here, and we'll be back right after this. All right, episode 88 of the Talking Power podcast. I'm here with Simon Gonzo Travellini, and I am Nick DiCembri. We are podcasting through iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, and also on 88.5 FM, where the Valley comes alive. And big shout out to everyone at the radio station. They're slowly, they're doing a lot of interviews over the phone these days, and things going really well at the radio station. So shout out to everyone in the city of Swan and at 88.5. Thanks for having us on the board.
How's the new transmitter going?
I believe it's going very well, actually. I believe it's going very well. I
heard a rumour that you can get 88.5 on the moon now.
I don't know if you can get it on the moon, but you can get it even in the southern suburbs. I was listening to it quite a distance away.
There you go.
The other day. So, and
we should do a bit of a VB theme for 88.5. You can even get it in Mandurah. Matter of fact, I've got it now.
I was listening to Sunday Nights with Peter and Susie last night as well. That was quite a good show, actually.
That's a great show. That's a great show.
Yeah, that's been quite good. So no, I enjoyed that. Anyway, so
there's a few good favourites on the station. I mean, that I listen to. There's more than just the ones that I listen to. But Jimmy, Pete, and
Wednesday nights.
Embarrassing. The guy in the mornings.
Oh, Jono.
Jono's a cracker. I love Jono.
Jono in the mornings. So yeah, look, they've been really welcoming, and it's been over a year now. We've been on 88.5, so I've really enjoyed it.
We didn't have a 12-month anniversary champagne breakfast or anything.
No, we
like
didn't
that.
actually. We should probably do that. We should probably leave that with me. We'll organise something. We need to, it's episode 88, and I've already started thinking about the big 100. So I need to.
Wow, getting ahead of yourself there, mate.
No, it's not really. It's only 12 episodes ahead, and I want to do something reasonable for our episode 100. And now with the state,
can we get those popper things?
Yeah, of course not. Of course we can. Sorry, but I want to do something. I want to do something a little bit special, not just. I want to do something. Episode 50, if you remember, we started up the BA. So, but I don't know what we're going to do with episode 100. I've got some plans in mind, and I'll keep you posted anyway.
Well, if you want to start up the XY, you better start coming around and give me a hand.
No problem. Hey, anyway, speaking of the XY, what's been happening in your world? What's been going on? What have you been working on?
Mate, we are so busy.
Yep.
It is ridiculous. I think that what the COVID did was create a bit of a bottleneck, and now we're on the other side of that, and it's like a stream, almost like getting a kidney stone or something, kind of blocks up, but then
then
and
it hurts
There's a lot of pain in between too. So Andy's car is in primer. I mentioned I've been doing a little bit of work in the engine bay, trying to get that all smoothed out, ready for some colour, and a lot of transmission work. There's been a lot of work going on around the factory, which needed to be done. The Dodge, the D5N, that's actually progressing.
Is it really?
Quite nicely now? Yes, it is.
Oh, really?
It is. So, yeah. So, and I'm looking around for someone that can handle our social media side. So, if there's anyone out there that has a keen interest in cars, motor racing, in particular drag racing and burnouts and so on, and loves spending all day on Facebook, get in touch with me.
There you go. Get in touch with Simon and go to the All Fast page on Facebook. It's a very good page, actually, and you can reach out to him there. If not,
Now
you can reach out to us at the Talk and Power page as well, and I'll divert you to Simon.
You've wanted to talk about Peter Hansen's Tirana license plates, weapon.
Well, what do you think of that? I mean, Vic Roads, after he's had those plates for well over 10 years now, and after 10 years, he went to apply for another car that said Weapon 2 or Weapons
2. Yeah.
And they said, oh, no, you can't have that. And by the way, we want this one back as well because it's inappropriate and offensive.
That's actually what happened? Because when I watched it on TV, he made it seem as though someone had complained about him.
Look, potentially that might be the case as well. I've seen the letter that was written from Vic Roads, and the thing that I took away from it was the words that they used is weapon is offensive and not appropriate. Are we getting confused with potentially they perceive that word as we're peeing, as in urinating, or how is weapon?
Didn't even know that was a word.
No, it's not. I'm trying to play a bit of devil's advocate for Vic Roads, but is that what they perceive that word as? We're urinating?
Considering the fact that that's the epicenter of COVID-19 in Australia at the moment, anything to do with Victorian government, sketchy.
Well, you only had to watch 60 Minutes a week ago to realise that. But I'm amazed. You can actually, there is I'll share it. There is a
petition.
Petition.
There
is actually a petition you can sign, and I'll share it on our Facebook page. I went and signed it last night because I think this is outrageous. I really think, this is weapon. Please, can someone explain to me if I've got this wrong? How is weapon offensive?
If that's offensive, then my license plate's on my daily driver, bad wog. Holy smoke!
You better not drive the car. Actually, I'm gonna have to cut that out because I don't want the WA traffic onto that one. But I just don't understand. I really don't understand. I'm assuming that they're getting this. They're getting we're urinating, we're peeing. Has to be. Can't be weapon. Weapon's not offensive.
I think it's more to this. I think that Daniel Andrews, one of his family, want those license plates for their car.
Oh, okay. Well, one of his family got smoked by it, perhaps.
I mean, the car's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Same as I've had the bad wog plates. I've had them for a very long time.
What about the other one?
I've had the blitzed license plates. Even longer.
I know you've had that since the 90s.
Blitzed.
Yeah. Blitzed. All right.
Blitzed, yeah. Blitzed. I've had Blitz since the 90s. And there was, I don't know if it still exists, but there was a black Monaro that had wasted on the license plates.
Yep.
And I'm sure that there's other ones out there that, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of where society's going, I guess, where, people get easily offended. I guess it's like tackles in football. It's like safety equipment on Formula One cars.
Bit of a stretch, but I'll let you go. I'll let you go there.
You see where I'm going with this.
I do. Hey, before we finish up, I want to shout out to the team at the Jet 75.
Jet 275, Nick.
What did I say?
You said Jet 75.
Sorry, I'm getting confused.
Mr. 2.
The Jet 275, the Flying Fifth. So they are part organising this event, which is at Bathurst. So they go from, I think it's Forest Elbow to partway down the Conrod Strait anyway. So it's the Flying Fifth. Head to www.flyingfifth.com or head to their website as well, the Jet 275.
So what's this, a flying?
Yeah, so it's an event basically. It goes from, it's on Conrod Strait.
Yeah.
Basically it's exactly what it is. It's a Flying Fifth. Well,
It's
that's
a
what
standing
fifth.
fifth.
It's the standing start across the fastest straight in Australia for a fifth of a mile.
And what cars are eligible for that?
Well, I don't know what's eligible, but last year's winner, which I am led to believe it was tuned by Vic himself, Mitsubishi Evo.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yep.
an Evo 6 too. It's a Tommy Mäkinen one.
Wow.
That was last year's winner. Geez, 165 mile an hour.
What? From a standing start?
Yeah. Yep. 165 mile an hour.
In a fifth of a mile?
Mm.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yep. The return of George's Prestige flying fifth. So the event is the naming rights is George's Prestige. He's a detailer, and I believe he does a lot of detailing work for the boys. And it's last year's winner. And as I said, I'm led to believe that Vic tuned this car himself. It's a Mitsubishi Evo 6, Tommy Mäkinen, and it was driven by Stephen Nebriga, and 165 mile an hour average speed.
Average speed.
Mm. It involves racing your car from a standing start across the fastest straight in Australia for a fifth of a mile and an average split time to be achieved.
Oh, okay. So you must... No, that doesn't make any sense.
We're going to the rules now.
They must take an average. How long is Conrod State? I'm going to have a look at how long Conrod Strait is while you're doing that, Nick. Oh, wow. It's 2 kilometres long, Nick. It's 1.91 kilometres long.
I do remember the last episode they did. It's from Forest Elbow, and it's the Bathurst Light Car Club. So the Bathurst Light Car Club is the sanctioning body for this event, or they're the club that holds the event. And the cars that are... You can have rotary cars. Yeah, so you can have sports sedans, regulations, which are competing with Type 3S. There's a myriad of cars that are eligible. But, yeah, last year's winner was an Evo 6. So Todd would be happy about that. So anyway...
If he was here, he'd be happy. But he's not.
He was joining us.
We don't know how he's feeling. He might be happy when he hears that. But right now... We have no idea how he's feeling. We have no idea.
He's driving back from Bustleton.
He couldn't do it from inside the car on his phone or something?
I don't know. I didn't push the point. I just said, no worries, all good, drive safe. That's all I say. You know me.
So interesting point. I saw this on TV and I thought, I wanted to talk about it on the podcast, and I thought, you know what? You're throwing yourself under the bus, but you know what? What the heck? Right. So while back, I don't know if you recall, a few ministers were, sternly spoken to, asked to resign, whatever the case may be, for filming videos of them driving through the countryside and talking to their electorate, whoever was listening, right? Well, one of the stations that, brought it to light was Channel 10. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, I was watching RPM, and they were out test driving a car. I don't know what it was, but it was in Australia, and they had it adorned with cameras, and they were, filming it. So I don't know if it's a state law or how, but I'm sure that was a Victorian thing that happened anyway when it happened about the anyway. Now, before anyone says anything about the videos that we do, right, just want to make it clear that we use a low loader and we do it all legit, don't we, Nick?
Yep. Goes on the back of a drop deck.
Yep.
Looks like we're driving, but we're not.
That's right. So I know that RPM weren't using one because the footage cuts to outside shots and you can clearly see the cameras are mounted on the car and they're driving. So shame on you, Channel 10, and shame on you, RPM.
And when we do with the Arcadia as well, same thing. I got this drop deck, came in, drove up on the back. So it's all good, all right? Don't ring up and say, can't do that. Didn't do anything wrong.
It's illegal. We have safety people, professional stunt people, and Todd. We have Todd also. He's not here now, but we do. He's definitely, he's involved.
Hey, speaking of road safety, we should do another shout out for the West Aussie Wave. Hey, you try and do it. It's not difficult. Let someone in, give them a wave. They let you in, give them a wave. It's not hard. Not hard. Even put your hand out the window, give them the thumbs up.
Even a nod. Just
a nod. It's not hard to do. Something we can all do. Makes your day. I'm telling you, I have been practicing that. It does make you feel better. It makes you feel relaxed.
Well, you and I, have spent thousands of hours driving out in the country, and it's commonplace in the country.
Yeah,
it's courtesy.
Yep.
Yep.
It's courtesy. Truck drivers, because I don't have a two-way, so the truck drivers give you the indicator to go around.
Yep.
That still happens. And I thank all the truck drivers that do that for us guys that aren't using two ways. We probably should, but they're not. And, let us around. Wide loads all the time now. We're coming across wide loads and they put the indicator on, or the pilot vehicle will wave us around. So it's not hard. It's not hard.
No, it's not. It's not. The country folk have got it sorted.
They have.
It's the city slickers that, need a bit of a tune-up. Need a bit of a tune-up.
They do. Hey, before we finish, just remember, go to our website, subscribe. Right, you go on the chance to win all this gear. Right, so shirt, talking power.
I want the shirt.
To you.
Whoever wins the shirt, I want to know how much you want to sell it.
One person will win all of this. All of it's going all together. So get in, subscribe, tell your friends, share it around, subscribe to us. And we don't hassle you. We only send an email out once a podcast. Then at the end of the month, we send an email out summarising the week. The month and what we've done and what we're looking at doing. Nothing big. We're not.
You're not going to get annoying text messages at night.
No.
Telling you, sail on right now.
Or
we miss you. I get these. I'm not going to say who because I don't really want to promote the company, but I was a member and it came to the end of my membership and I didn't renew. I was smart enough to actually make sure I read the contract and understand that I needed to give them, like 5 years in advance notice, or else the auto renew would kick in. And I continually get these messages: "We miss you. Come back." It's true. You're not going to get those from us. It's not that we don't miss you. It's that we don't want to annoy you. We understand it. You might want to sleep at night.
No. And also, don't email us about we don't know anything about politics. We know that. We don't need to be told anything about So don't waste your time saying you guys know nothing about politics. Just we know. We understand. We completely
help us, teach us.
Yeah. If you know so
privately
much.
Get in touch with me and I want to learn.
Yeah.
I want to be a politician. I want to get paid $300,000 a year for doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
That many frequent flyer points that I can fly my family around the world 3 or 4 times a year, all of my family, including my in-laws. I want to do that. I want to be a politician. And I want to do it for the people too.
It's too long.
You know what, Nick? You asked me before what I've been doing. Nicole and I watched a movie last night called The Big Short.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot believe how corrupt the banking system is and how many people got ripped off, and then how the American government gave these companies, these people that knew what they were doing, these people that ripped these people off, more money to pay themselves bonuses with. It's really, it's meant to be a comedy, but it's more of a tragedy.
Yeah.
But if anyone wants to know what went wrong and how the crash happened in, I think it was 2008, 2007, 2008, The Big Short does 2 things in that movie. It dramatizes some things and twists the story a little bit, but then they actually stop the movie and explain to you what really happened, so that you get the dramatic effect of the what do they call it? Well, there's a word for it anyway, where the writer can manipulate the story for that reason.
Yeah.
But you get to know the true story, and the true story is actually quite shocking. Quite shocking.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
This is about the Lehman Brothers, obviously. Or...
No, this is about the people that profited from it.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was a small group of people, one of them in particular. So basically, the way the stock exchange works, you can, it's like gambling. It is literally like gambling. So you can make a bet, for example, to say that, well, I believe that stock is going to fall. And then if it continues to rise, you have to pay on your bet, more or less. But if it falls, you start getting paid. And there was a guy who he's a doctor. He was actually a doctor, an MD, medical doctor. And he saw that something was going to happen, something big. He predicted it. And he was the first to have a crack. And then there was a group of other people through various circles. It's got a unbelievable cast in it. And for all the girls out there, Ryan Gosling's in it. So, you get to check him out doing twists while he's doing chin-ups. Pretty amazing to watch. So he's got his legs up in the air, twisting them while he's doing chin-ups. Yeah.
Is there a female lead as well?
I don't know. I was too busy looking at Ryan Gosling, to be honest. But
God.
No, seriously, it has an incredible cast. It tells an amazing story, and it's a true story.
Yeah.
And they really there's some shocking truths in there that I'll be honest with you, scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because I think things have gotten even worse than they were back then now. And this is the problem with deregulating. Deregulation's a bad thing. Bad thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, Simon. Well, look, on that note, thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for that. And we'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks. And hopefully we'll organise a couple of guests. Well, I mean, this is like back to the old days, this tonight's episode, just like the two of us. So, and I'm back in this room as well.
Memories.
I'm hoping to get back in the studio. I won't say anything, but I'm hoping we'll be back in the studio in the next episode. But if not, it'll be the one after that.
When are we moving to the new studio, Nick?
The new
Everyone
studio?
wants to know, including my wife.
I'm ready whenever you are. I'm ready whenever you are.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. We've got it, most of it set up.
Yep. I don't think there's not much else to do, is there? Up there, I haven't been up there.
No, I don't think so. Just move a few things. Maybe get all the Merc parts out of there.
The Merc parts up there. Fair enough.
Yeah, well, it's a nice, clean area,
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, Simon, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time.
Take it easy, Nick.
All right, see ya.
See you later.
Bye.
Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Now on 88.5 FM, The Valley Comes Alive. And podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.